Hey, what's going on guys? It's Andy the Mad Tatter back with another video. Today it's part 1 of June 2019 sales roundup. Going to take you through all the items that were sold up to the 16th of June, what we paid for them, what we sold and what we made on them. Quickly, as ever, thank you so much for your continued support. It does mean the world to me. We're at 230 subscribers at the time of filming, which is beyond my wildest dreams. So I don't know what I've done to deserve you guys, but I hope I can continue to doing it. And here's to many more happy subscribers and happy videos. Speaking of which, had some great feedback from some of my subscribers as well. Sozzers, shout out to you. You gave me a great suggestion. I'm going to definitely be taking on board your ideas in future videos. So yeah, if you do want to leave any ideas for how I can present my videos, what sort of topics you'd like to see, anything in respect of feedback for the channel, do feel free to drop a comment down below and I will always respond to any comments that are left. Okay, so we'll get on with today's items. First one, 1st of June 2019, was the Dyson DC33 clutch assembly for the vacuum cleaner. I think you may have seen this in one of my haul videos if I remember rightly. Paid £3 for it at a car boot. Sold it for $33.94 and made $23.55 after shipping and fees. Received positive feedback from the buyer on that one as well, so that's always a happy little bonus. And yeah, high-end sort of consumables, vacuum cleaner parts, washing machine parts, dishwasher parts. Just think of any high-end household appliance or kitchen appliance, anything like that, that's going to have parts that are going to wear out but can be replaced. So things like the clutch assemblies in these vacuum cleaners, prime example. If you do see them, they're definitely worth picking up if you get them for the right money, because it's one of those things that they're always wearing out periodically, so people are going to need to buy them. Sticking with the 1st of June, it's the Simpsons 3D character chess set from 1992. As you know, I love a chess set. This one was a nice little cheapie. I honestly thought I'd probably get a bit more for it than I did, but it's worth what it's worth at the end of the day. And some things you can push the envelope on, some things you can't, and there were quite a few of these available, so it wasn't really a case of something I could sort of try and push too much, too far with. So paid $3.99 for that one, sold it for $28.94, and after shipping and fees made $16.34. Sticking with the 1st of June still, a pair of my wife Jo's old Skechers Topos wedges. She wore them a couple of times on holidays, but never really got any massive wear out of them in all fairness. So they were just an item that we owned. Put them up on eBay, $14.99 plus post, so sold them for $18.94, and after shipping and fees made $11.83. Still on the 1st of June, quite a busy day. Levi 501 CT. The 501 is obviously Levi's, probably one of most Levi's, try again, probably Levi's most famous cut of jeans. Even then I think I struggled with that. Probably their most famous style. The CT is a sort of modern take on it as well. It's the custom twisted fit, so that's kind of a slightly different fit. No, custom tapered, sorry, beg your pardon, not custom twisted, custom tapered fit. I thought twisted didn't sound right, and I've just read it on my own description on screen there. Yeah, custom tapered is what CT stands for. So they're a little bit more modern take on the traditional 501 style, so they do have a little bit of a premium on the price for that reason. And they're also, from my experience of this pair, they also seem like they're a bit of a finer denim, so they do feel a little bit nicer than some of the more, if you like, bog standard 501s. So paid £4 for these, sold them for $42.94 and made $27.45 after shipping and fees. They've gone on the global shipping program to Germany. Next item, into the 2nd of June now, New Balance Bodega trainers. Bodega, from my research, are a US fashion house that are kind of an independent label, and they've done a lot of collaborations with big names like Nike, New Balance, Adidas, things like that. So over the years they've collaborated with a lot of different people, and this is the result of their collaboration with New Balance, or one of their collaborations with New Balance. They're actually quite a rare pair of shoes. Looking at them, let's be honest, you can sort of see why they're quite a rare pair of shoes. There weren't that many made to begin with, and they are very much an acquired taste. But when actually my wife spotted these in the charity shop that we saw them in at the time we bought them, and yeah, just as soon as I got my hands on them, I thought, yeah, there's something here, definitely. I didn't really know anything about them. I didn't know about Bodega. I didn't really particularly know about New Balance. I was aware of them as a brand, but at that time I was only just starting to dip my toe into buying some of the really big brands like Nike and stuff. So I'd certainly not considered buying a pair of New Balance. But something about the materials they were made out of, there was suede, there was felt, there was denim. It was just it just really sort of spoke to me as a premium trainer. So picked them up, looked them up when I got home, and they do command some considerable value if you've got a boxed item. These don't look like they'd ever been worn. In all honesty, they're in absolutely fantastic condition. But obviously I didn't sell them as new, I still sold them as pre-owned. I did say they were good enough that I thought they might pass for new in my description listing. That's not saying that they are new. I'm just, it just kind of gives people an indication of how good you personally as a seller think this item looks. So yeah, look them up. They are worth quite a lot if you've got a boxed pair, but obviously didn't have the box with these. So they had sat for quite a while at $79.99, and I had been pretty firm with my price at $79.99 for the most part. But this chap did actually send me an offer. I just took his offer straight away because they have been sat for quite a while. And it was an offer of £61. It was going on the GSP to Germany. And as I'd already sent the Levi's to Germany the previous day, I just thought, oh, well, we're on a roll with the Germans. So I'll accept his offer and we'll send another one out there. So they sold for £61. After shipping and fees, made £40.11 on them. Like I say, did sit for a little while, but still made some decent money there. So I took a best offer on those as well. 2nd of June, this is another thing from my wife's collection of Hello Kitty and sort of pop culture stuff. The Hello Kitty top trumps, sold them for $7.94, made $4.03 after shipping and fees on those, and received positive feedback from the buyer. Another pair of Levi's 501, just bog standard 501 boot cuts, regular fit, even straight legs. I'm not even reading my own description here, I'm just trying to remember them from memory, and my description is literally right in front of me, so I should just look at that, shouldn't I? But yeah, the Levi 501 straight legs, reasonably big size, 40 by 34, so I think bigger sizes sometimes can always help. Sort of the top end of sizes and the bottom end of sizes, sometimes you find it's one extreme or the other when you've bought stuff at those ends of the scale. They either go out straight away or they do sit for a while. There's never that sort of, I personally haven't found anyway, somebody out there might prove me wrong, but if you've got a lot of stuff at one size, if it's you've got a lot of stuff at a bigger size or a lot of stuff at a smaller size, you don't seem to get that steady trickle of sales that you do if you've got sort of a range of sizes, even if it's all different items. So I've often found that it's one extreme or the other with big sizes and small sizes. They either fly off the shelf or they sit for a little while. These did the former, and these sold quite quickly. I think about 2 weeks. These have probably been listed, so I think that's a reasonably quick sale. Paid £5 for them, sold for $27.94. After shipping and fees, made $14.15. Had positive feedback from the buyer as well. Would have ordinarily put these up for a little bit more, but as you can see on the camera, this is another pair that have got a bit of pocket wear on them. So I think these must have actually been the same owner as the other pair that I had, where I mentioned a similar sort of complaint on a previous video. Cracking on, 3rd of June. This was from my huge bundle of DVDs that I got from the frustrated lady at the car boot. If you remember me telling that story, I bought what amounted to about 2 bin bags full of DVDs off her for 10 quid. And yeah, I've already made my money back and then some through selling the Heartbeat box sets and stuff. So I've actually applied most of the costing of that bundle to the Heartbeat DVDs, and because they've already sold, a lot of these DVDs that you're going to see now have effectively got no cost price against them because they've been recouped elsewhere. So free, this one sold for $6.99 after shipping and fees, made $3.85. It's the Rowan Atkinson Maigret, maybe is the pronunciation of that. I'm thinking it's French detective show. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, him. 3rd of June again, North Face zip front hoodie. North Face I've been over before as a brand. Everybody I think knows North Face. You can sell their stuff all day long if you're selling it at the right price and if you're picking it up at the right price. This was just a bog standard zip front hoodie, nothing amazing or special. It was in pretty good condition, bar a bit of chipping on the paint on the zip, which again I put in the item right up there. Paid $7.99 for that one, sold for $32.94, made $15.68 after shipping and fees, and got positive feedback from the buyer. 4th of June, Ubisoft Watch Dogs 2 Marcus collectible figurine. I had to look this guy up. I think he was in one of my haul videos as well. And at the time I said, I don't even know who this guy is. I know he's to do with Watch Dogs because I can see it's written on the bottom, but I don't know who he is at all. Thinking about it now, that may never have even been in a haul video, and that might have even been a haul video that I ended up not uploading to YouTube because I messed it up catastrophically somehow. But either way, I did have to do a reasonable amount of research on this guy because it's not a game franchise that I've played, even though I'm aware of it. So I had to do a reasonable amount of research to find out who he was and find out what my, keywords and stuff to mention in my listing was and things like that. So, I was able to reference specific things like the security pass that he's holding and stuff like that is for DedSec, I think they're called, the sort of protagonist organisation in the game. Anywho, he cost $1.99, sold for $23.94, and after shipping and fees made $14.40. But sticking with the 4th of June, Jules ceramic teapot and milk jug set. I sell a lot of Jules clothing. They're a sort of traditionally British country wear type brand that have also got quite a hefty following in fashion. Very much the kind of Cheshire Wives type vibe to them. But, there's a lot of other people into it as well, but that's probably where it's most famous as being kind of a pop culture reference. But yeah, Jules ceramic teapot and milk jug set. Cool little set. Nothing, nothing I can tell you about it that you can't see on the screen. So I paid $6.48 for it, sold it for $43.49, and made $26.11 after shipping and fees on that one. Absolute paranoia wrapping it though. That's one thing I will say. I had a nightmare with it. I must have used. I tried to think how much bubble wrap I used, but I'm definitely responsible for a landfill somewhere now just off the packaging of that. And that chest set I sold a couple of months ago. 5th of June, Clementoni 1,000-piece panorama jigsaw puzzle. Bought a lot of jigsaw puzzles new and sealed last year in the run-up to Christmas, and they sold quite well. I've still got quite a few of them listed now, and to be fair, a lot of those are probably still going to be listed all the way up until this Christmas, where they'll start shifting again. They are quite a seasonal item, jigsaw puzzles, I think. Certainly from my experience, they have been, but my experience is limited, as you know. So this one paid $2.99 for it, sold for £20.94, made $10.67 after shipping and fees, and that went on the global shipping program to Germany. So again, another win for the Germans. Thank you, Germany. 6th of June, Ladies Night Dry Fit Gym T-shirt. It was sort of a newer style, this one. It's got another panel you might just be able to make out across the top, just under the collar, and just above the breast there. It's got the like an extra panel in it, and I think another one on the back as well from memory. So it's not quite the one-piece look that the sort of traditional dry fits are. This has got a little bit more styling, if you like, to it. I paid $4.99 for this one, and I don't really know why, because I generally pick these up for £2 to £3 each. I think probably with it being that newer fit, I thought, I'll try it for a little bit more. But no, I still sold it for $9.99, exactly the same as I sell pretty much every dry fit t-shirt for. So sold for $12.94 total after shipping and fees, made £3.15 there. 7th of June, Harman Kardon Drive and Play FM adapter cable. So this is for a Harman Kardon branded audio system in your car. Harman Kardon make a lot of premium audio, particularly they're quite famous for doing it for BMW. That's really the most famous brand I can think of that has Harman Kardon audio. I think Range Rover at one point used Harman Kardon actually as well, and Jaguar, etc. All of that family of automakers. But yes, this is, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what this even is anymore. I remembered writing the description on the listing and looking it up and what it was and writing all the technical specs, but off the top of my head now I can't even think what it was. What I do know about it is it was $1.99, sold it for $19.99 and made $12.92 after shipping and fees. But yeah, anything that links to sort of premium audio systems or premium accessories for cars, branded accessories for cars, manufacturer accessories are a good one as well. I once paid £1 for a brand new Audi ashtray and sold it the following day on eBay for £40 to a car dealer. So, branded accessories, definitely from premium manufacturers like all your German manufacturers, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, etc. Definitely look out for stuff like that. If you can pick it up cheap enough, you'll always make money on it. Even floor mats and really sort of mundane things that you wouldn't necessarily think of in the first instance, you can pick those up and you can do well with them. Still on the 7th of June, as you know, I like diesel jeans. I like selling them. This is another pair. that was no exception. Diesel Industry Feo F jeans. These are an older style. I think these were from sort of early 2000s, so definitely an older pair of jeans, but not by any means vintage. They weren't in amazing condition. They were okay, don't get me wrong, and I think after a good sort of, you know, a good once over with a good thorough wash and a press and whatnot, they'll probably look a lot better. But I was honest about them again in the description of the item. I said, you know, there is a little bit of wear to the ankle cuffs at the bottom. There is, you know, a little bit of creasing here and there, so they probably will need a reasonable press. And yeah, only paid $1.99 for those. Sold them for $38.94. After shipping and fees, made $26.76 and had positive feedback from the buyer. Still on the 7th of June, Schneider ballpoint pen refills. You've seen these in a few of my sales roundup videos now as well. I think I might actually have sold the last of these, to be honest with you, but for those of you that don't know, they were a retail arbitrage buy, so I bought them brand new at a retail store to sell and make a profit on. Definition of retail arbitrage. They were 50p each, 50p a pack, so I bought as many as I could fit in my hands, basically. And I've been selling them consistently at $3.99 a pack. I think every one of my sales roundup videos have got some of these Schneider pen refills in them. So they were a pretty good buy. This customer bought 2 off me, so purchase price for the total was £1. Sold for $10.18, made $4.89 after shipping and fees. They cost nothing to post because they are literally, you know, this thin. Again, you don't know how big my hands are, so that's completely irrelevant, but they are literally this thin. So they, yeah, you can't really, we're out of focus now, there we go. Yeah, so you can't really go wrong with stuff like that. Again, they fit a lot of vintage pens, so popular for that reason too, I guess. Bought for £1, sold for $10.18, made $4.89 for shipping and fees, and had positive feedback from the buyer. 8th of June, this is an awesome one. This is by far and away one of the standouts of the bin bags full of DVDs. The Heartbeat box set was awesome, and this one is just mind-blowing, really. Midsummer Murders, full 51 DVD collection. Charts all of the episodes with John Nettles in, who played Tom Barnaby. And they're presented in these kind of like hardback book style cases with about 6 discs, or 6 to 8 discs in each case, something along those sort of lines. So I looked them up individually, and they were selling anywhere individually from sort of £8 to £13 individually. So I made up the set there. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8 of them there altogether, so I went for $112.99. eBay will only let you charge £5 postage in the DVD category, so £5 postage was all I got off the buyer. I think it cost me about £13 in total to post them, so that's what, £8 that I've had to stand just for the postage on those. But I don't really mind that because, again, coming out of those bin bags of DVDs, they were free. So I sold them for $117.99 and made $89.31 after shipping and fees. And personally, I feel like that is the very definition of knocking it out of the park. I was happy as you like with that one. 8th of June again, Sony iPod radio alarm clock, Dream Machine ICF CO5 IP. Yeah, there's nothing I can say about Sony stuff that I haven't already said in every other video pretty much that I've done. They're a fantastic brand. They very rarely have too many issues that you have to worry about on most items. They made a lot of iconic products like the Walkman, the Discman, yeah, and they're just always popular, always sell. And even this one on a 30-pin, the old style Apple dock connector, still sold relatively quickly. I'll always make a point with anything that I sell that has the iPod 30-pin connection. I always make a point in my listing of saying it may be possible, never guarantee it, but say it may be possible to make this work with newer Apple equipment by using a 30-pin to Lightning connector. And they do exist. Apple make these themselves. It's the old style to the new style connector converter, essentially. And on something like this, where the iPod or the iPhone's just going to stand inside it, having just a different connector stood up out of the machine with the phone or the iPod on it, I don't think is going to be too much of an issue. So yeah, that's what I always put in my Apple listings when I'm selling stuff that's got the 30-pin connection on it. Paid a £5 for that one, sold it for $20.94, made $8.32 after shipping and fees. Not a massive profit, but I'll take it. Not a problem at all. 8th of June, School Memory Scrapbook. This was another little retail arbitrage buy. I picked up a couple of these. They were the last ones on the shelf. I forget exactly where. Stationers, maybe? Nope. just drawing a blank to exactly where I picked those up, but they were definitely from a shop. Paid $1.99 each for them. I think they had an RRP on the back of $16.99, and they were down to $1.99 each in this particular store, so I picked those up. They were the last two on the shelf. I've still got one listed. Sold it for $18.94 after shipping and fees. Made $9.61 on that $1.99 buy. 8th of June again, another DVD from the big old bag of DVDs. It was free, sold for $11.94 and made $7.67 after shipping and fees. That's New Tricks Season 10. Not really seen New Tricks, so I couldn't tell you what it's about. Scientific Calculator, 9th of June. I said before in a previous video, definitely pick up graphing calculators. Anytime you see a graphing calculator, pick one up. Only pick up scientifics really if they are dirt cheap, because they, in my experience, they don't sell as quickly, and you don't make nearly as much money on them as you do on the equivalent in sort of a graphing calculator. So always pick up the graphing calculators, but be a little bit more wary with the scientific calculators, if you were to ask my advice, because I bought a few just to try them out, and I have a couple of my own as well that I've had from years ago. They're listed too and have sold. But you don't make huge sums of money on them, and they don't always sell very quickly either. So this one was £1, sold it for $9.94 after shipping and fees, made $4.69. Yeah, remote controls. You know me and remotes. Love selling remotes. Very easy to test, very easy to pick up, quite cheap to pick up, and generally always sell quite well, always sell for reasonable money, and are cheap to post. So this one was £1. It's a Sky TV box remote. Yeah, Sky TV is just like the big cable TV, satellite TV provider in the UK and across Europe if you're not familiar with them. But yeah, so it's in lots of homes, put it that way. So there was always a good chance with a Sky remote it's going to sell quite quickly, and whatever your local TV provider is, if they provide a set-top box or a connect, a TV box in some capacity with their own remote, chances are people are always going to want those remotes. So if you're like a Virgin Media customer, or there's a lot of Virgin Media in your area, you'll probably pick up old Virgin Media remotes when people are getting rid of them at car boots. In the US, it might be like Comcast or somebody like that. I don't know who any of these sort of providers you have over there, but Comcast's a name I've heard, so maybe they're one. If they give you a remote with a connection package, yeah, look for those too. But yeah, paid £1 for that one, sold for $13.94, and after shipping and fees, made $6.93. North Face Dry Vent Quest Jacket. This was the 9th of June. Sold this one on a best offer. Interesting best offer, actually. The guy had sent me an offer a few weeks prior, and I'd forgotten the guy's username. I think I sent him a counter offer and he just ignored it. But the offer, when he sent me an offer again this time, the counter offer I'd sent him this time was actually higher than the counter offer I sent him previously a couple of weeks ago. So he did just message me, and he was dead nice about it. To be fair, he was perfectly polite about it and everything. And when I looked into his account, he's a seller as well, so he probably gets the whole point of we'll always try and wring as much profit out of something as we can. But I honoured the price that the counter offer that I'd sent him the previous week, which was $69, or the couple of weeks prior, which was $69.99. The coat was listed at $79.99. But yeah, $69.99 is where we ended up. Cost $10.99, and after shipping and fees, made $43.18 on that one. So it's a waterproof, windproof, and breathable jacket. I don't think it was an interactive. No, you couldn't zip anything inside it, but it's just like a nice lightweight shell jacket, really. Sticking with the 9th of June, Robert Ludlum, Jason Bourne book trilogy. I'm very much not the person to speak to about whether books sell on eBay or not. I've never really had much luck with them myself. Do sell them occasionally. They do trickle out. I've got a whole shelf full of books, and it's a pretty heftily loaded shelf. And they trickle off it. They don't fly out in great numbers. That could be something I'm doing wrong. I could be listing them wrong somehow. I don't think I am. I'm trying to be fairly concise with my listings and whatnot. But books for me on eBay certainly only tend to trickle out. Even in the case of stuff like this, where it's a brand new and sealed. This is sealed in cellophane. It's the Bourne Identity, Bourne Supremacy, and the Bourne Ultimatum, I think. In in obviously paperback form, and in a 3-pack bound together. Cost £4 this one, sold it for £23.94, made £12.63 after shipping and fees. Be very wary with heavy books or something like this, because even though this was probably, you know, not a huge parcel necessarily, and certainly size-wise it was a parcel that would have gone for a medium parcel with Royal Mail, with a small parcel with Royal Mail all day, not a problem. The weight of it was getting on for 2 kilos. So by the time you've put sort of wrapping and stuff on there and packaged it up, you could be getting onto that 2 kilo mark where you think it's not gonna, you know, you're gonna have to look for an alternative courier or something. This actually, when I got it to the post office, it weighed 2 kilos on my scales at home, which would have put it over the normal Royal Mail postage. But when I got it to the post office, I tried it on their scales just on the off chance, and on their scales it weighed 1.991 kilos. So that got me through for £4 postage on there. Happy days. So yeah, that's that one. Books. 10th of June, another remote. Again, Sony. Don't really need to talk about Sony specifically too much, but audio system remotes definitely are worth looking into and picking up. I've said before in videos where I've talked about remotes that the audio system ones tend to be the ones that sell quickest and for the most money, and this is a good case in point, really. It didn't take too long to sell. I think you may have seen this in one of my previous haul videos, one of my maybe couple of haul videos ago. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I showed you a load of remotes that I'd got anyway. And yeah, so this one sold for £21.94 altogether. Cost £1.80, and after shipping and fees made £14.83 on that one. And that's for an active subwoofer or soundbar. Another scientific calculator, after saying they do sort of, you know, they're not the fastest seller in the world. It's true, they're not. It just happens that I've sold one and then sold another, and I think from selling a couple of them, it makes eBay think, oh, this guy's got a load of scientific calculators, we'll send people to him. So I've now sold about 3 or 4 scientific calculators this month, but not really making huge money on them. Even with this one was one of my own ones from when I was at high school, and sold it for £9.94, made £5.69 after shipping and fees with no obvious purchase price, and did have positive feedback from the buyer, so that's always a bonus, which can sometimes be, you know, it can sometimes take the sting out of something not making a lot of profit. So that's another scientific calculator. That one was a Casio. Another pair of Levi's 582s, 40 by 34. So again, same size as the previous pair. So I must have picked all of these up at the same charity shop. They were probably all donated by the same person, because there's that sort of dreaded bit of pocket wear. So who only knows what this chap was carrying in his back pocket, but it was doing a number on his jeans, shall we say. Paid £5.95 for this pair, sold them for £31.94, and after shipping and fees made £16.87. Those were the 582 style, which were one that I wasn't familiar with previously, so it was just one that I had to look up. I think it's actually possibly a discontinued style now, because I didn't see them on Levi's website available currently. Not that I remember anyway. But yeah, so 582s, another pair of Levi's. 10th of June, Winnie the Pooh character plush with a hoodie. Actually managed to pick these up at 2 separate occasions at 2 separate charity shops. I've got Pooh and Tigger, both by the same manufacturer, because they were Disney licensed, but they weren't made by Disney. Yeah, White House Leisure they were made by. And managed to pick up Pooh and Tigger at 2 separate charity shops. I think even in 2 separate towns, to be honest with you. I'd never seen them before, and I just thought, oh, what are the chances? So yeah, both bought by the same buyer. Both going on both going on GSP to the US. Both cost $2.89. Both sold for £20.94, and I made £12.77 on each. So there we go. That was the Winnie the Pooh plush and the Tigger plush. So 11th of June, Grow Egg Baby Thermometer. I bought a huge job lot from somebody on Facebook Marketplace. A car boot job lot, they advertised it as. It was basically they just having a massive house clear out and getting rid of all the stuff that they didn't want or need anymore. It did look like they had a bit of a crack at a couple of car boots, to be honest, because there were a couple of things on there that I just thought, yeah, you've bought them to have a crack at selling them. But I got a reasonable amount of stuff. I think I paid 65 quid for this whole bundle of stuff. I didn't get a chance to show it you on a video, unfortunately, because it was during that time when everything was just chaos. I've now got a dog dreaming behind me, so if you hear any little noises, that's what that is. Can you hear it? Yeah, so the Grow Egg Baby thermometer, it's a nursery thermometer, so it's an ambient temperature thermometer. The light, there's like a night light element to it as well. Underneath this owl, it looks like an egg, hence the name Grow Egg. And this light changes colour with the temperature of the room. So if the room's too hot, it goes red. If it's too cold, it goes blue. This is obviously like yellowy, ambery, so I'm guessing that's like a reasonable ambient temperature. And it also had this, it was called All of the Owl silicone cover that goes over the top of it. So obviously sort of anthropomorphise it a little bit somehow for kids. Yeah, cost so... Because I got so much stuff in this one bundle, I just literally took the total price of the bundle and divided it by the number of items that were there. So each item has worked out at roughly 50p. So this is purchase price of 50p, sold for £17.94, and actually sold the day after it was listed. So this was a really quick seller, something that I've seen a lot in charity shops and stuff and never actually picked up as well, because I don't have kids, I have no interest in kids, I've no desire to have kids, so it's not something that really registers on my radar at all, baby stuff. But this being in the bundle and selling so quickly is going to make me think twice about that. I might sort of start having a look and see what kind of... certainly electronics. I'm not going to look at kids' clothing too much or toys or anything like that, because there's only so much you can take. I'd be happy with this kind of stuff and baby monitors and stuff like that, but there's only so much you can take of that kind of thing. Sorry to offend anybody there who's like not into kids, that sounds terrible. Sorry to anybody out there who's... I'm going to have to edit that bit out of the video, that's shocking. Oh man. Oh yeah, so cost 50p, sold for 17.94, and after shipping and fees made 10.52. 11th of June, Sigma 70 by 300mm macro lens for Nikon cameras. This one paid £3 for, sold for £73.94, after shipping and fees made £59.79, and had positive feedback from the buyer. However, today, the 19th of June, the buyer has contacted me and said he's having trouble getting the macro function, getting it to zoom right into the macro level. So this might end up being a return. This might end up being I pay for a repair on it. This might end up being a partial refund, but I will try and update you down the line on that one as to what happens. Well, I'll have to update you down the line as to what happens, because it'll affect the figure for the total in the next video. So yeah, all in all, a great transaction. The buyer was happy with it when he got it. He was happy with how it packaged, how quickly it came, you know, how it was described, the price. He was happy with all of that. It's just unfortunately that when he's gone to test it, some aspect of it hasn't worked. I don't have a Nikon camera myself to test this with. I did price this a lot lower than some of the equivalents on eBay. I think there was some around about 95, I think, from memory on this lens, and I put it up at 70 just to sort of reflect the fact that I couldn't really say too much about it. So yeah, this chap's been perfectly cordial about it as well, so you know, we'll come to some sort of resolution with him, I'm sure, not a problem. 12th of June, Garmin Charge and Sync Cradle for Phoenix 3 watches. Again, another job lot of stuff that I bought that I haven't really showed you. I bought a huge box full of cables, chargers, different sort of adapters and connectors, all sorts. I paid 15 quid for a massive cardboard box full of them. The items have all been costed out in much the same way as I told you with the other job lot there. I just saw the amount of items I had, the total price it cost me, and split between every item. So these items out of this bundle are working out at about 75p each. That one sold for £10 on best offer because the guy came and picked it up. So it was up at £14.99, but he was local, so he came and picked it up, paid a tenner for it. After shipping and fees, made £7.63, and had positive feedback from him on that one. 12th of June again, Apple iPod Nano 7th generation. This took a little bit longer to sell than I was expecting it to. It's relatively new. It's one that we've had in the house. We just don't really use Apple stuff anymore, so it was the last bit of Apple stuff really that we owned. I think we might have another Nano somewhere, thinking about it, but it's definitely one of the last bits of Apple stuff that we owned ourselves. So yeah, no purchase price on this one. Sold for $99.99. After shipping and fees, made $84.19, and I think this is my first global shipping program item to Sweden. So thank you very much, Sweden. 12th of June, again, another ladies' night dry fit. This is the Racerback gym vest. I paid $4.99 for this one, somehow. I think all I can imagine happening here, the only reason I would think that I could pay $4.99 for this, is that I picked it up in just a big bundle of stuff. And when you're walking around charity shops and stuff like that, you've got loads and loads of stuff over your arm. Sometimes you kind of, well, I say you, but definitely I am guilty of this. I take for granted what I'm picking up sometimes, and I won't necessarily always look at a price straight away. I'll pick something like this up and just assume that it's at the normal sort of price that I pay for these things, £2 to £3, and I'll just kind of pile it on with a load of other stuff that I'm picking up at the same time. So that's kind of my slip in attention to detail, I guess, in that sense, and that's something that I need to definitely make sure I'm not doing again, because I'm massively overpaid for this. I thought I would still get the sort of $9.99 standard dry fit price for it, but apparently no, they're only $7.99 really for these. So that's what we got, $7.99. So total sale price was $10.94, which includes the postage after shipping and fees. Made £1.41 on there, so it wasn't a loss, not really even a registerable profit, but at least it sort of got it out the door. 13th of June, this was an early buy of mine when I'd seen other YouTubers doing quite well with board games and stuff like that early on in my reselling adventures, and I just went crazy buying board games and travel games and stuff like that, just thinking that, yeah, that's what I need to buy because people on YouTube tell me I need to buy it. That's not the case, guys. You really don't need to buy things just because YouTubers tell you to buy them, and that goes for me as well. I'll always tell you what's worked for me, but you really don't need to be sort of... You don't need a YouTuber to hold your hand every step of the way, in that sense, because what works for one person isn't always going to work for another. And if you're enthusiastic about something, you will do a better job of selling that than even the most experienced reseller who's never sold it before. Or the other side of the coin is you could end up doing something like listening to what somebody else has told you to buy because it sells well for them. So if we take the example of Lego, if you've seen my previous videos, you know how I feel about Lego. I can't be bothered with it unless it's a boxed, sealed set, because loose Lego, trying to sort it all, even though I've seen you can make ridiculous money from loose Lego, but trying to sort it all just tries my patience far too much. So we'll take the example of Lego. If somebody that you've seen or that you've spoken to who's a reseller or a YouTuber or whatever, they've said, you know, Lego sells really well, you should do Lego and this and that and the other. And then you start doing Lego yourself, but you find that you feel like I do about Lego, you hate it. It's just completely boring to you. You haven't got the patience for it, it frustrates you. You're going to spend so much time then trying to recuperate your money that you've spent into that that you've put into that Lego. You'll spend so much time trying to recoup that money doing something that you hate that your passion for reselling is going to dwindle quite quickly. But also, while you're spending all that time doing something that you hate, trying to make money back on it, think of how many opportunities you could have missed to do something that you love. Those of you that have seen some of the things that I've said on Facebook and stuff recently probably recognise this speech to a certain extent, but it rings true and it bears repeating, because the rule book is being rewritten all the time, and you know, sometimes you need to just sort of be the person to rewrite the rule book in that sense. And you know, if you know about something, if you're passionate about something, if you're interested in something, that is half the battle of being able to sell it, because nobody can talk more enthusiastically about something or can describe something more enthusiastically than somebody who is interested or is enthusiastic about the topic. Do you follow me there? I've said enthusiastically a lot and it sounds like a weird word now. But yeah, so that's just a kind of little side lesson. But this is from a time when I was buying board games because everybody on YouTube was saying, do board games. £2 paid for this one. It was all sealed inside. It hadn't been used or anything. The outer box was a little bit rough. It was a 1990 edition, so I guess vintage. Yeah, 1991, and it's all sealed inside. Paid £2 for it. Sold it for $6.99. Lady was local again and came and picked that one up. So after shipping and fees, made £3.80. I say shipping and fees. There was no shipping on it. She picked it up. 13th of June, diesel flannel plaid shirt. This was one of the more expensive shirts that I've bought recently. I don't normally pay this much on shirts, but this one was particularly nice. I just had a good feeling about it, and it being diesel as well, and being in that sort of lumberjack style. Very in at the moment, and a very, as you know, good brand to be getting that sort of thing in. Had some nice details on this one, like some little leather labels and tags and stuff like that on the back, just for a little bit of extra sort of premium detail, if you like. So I was happy to pay a little bit more for it because I was pretty confident that I'd get a little bit more for it. So paid $8.75, sold for $42.94, and after shipping and fees made $22.47 on that one. 14th of June, Hornby Trains RST Loco Shed and Footbridge. So Hornby Trains are the little miniature 00 gauge model railways. Hornby, big UK manufacturer, world famous UK manufacturer of such things. Hornby also made the early Meccano, I think, in this country and stuff like that as well. But they are most famous for their railways. In tandem with the actual trains and the track and everything that they produce, they also produce buildings and scenery and all the sort of bells and whistles that go into all of these really intricate and high-end train sets. So this was a locomotive shed, and as you can see from the picture on there, it is basically just a shed to park your train in. This was an unbuilt model, so it was mostly still on the sprues. A couple of bits had fallen off, but they were still in the box. So it was a complete flat pack. It's just a couple of bits had come off the sprues. Didn't have any instructions with it or anything like that, but did also have a little footbridge in there to go over the railway as well, which wasn't part of this kit. It was just something that obviously somebody had dropped in. When I got to looking this up, it was actually a reasonably rare-ish item. I think it's a few years old now, and they are one of those things that you see them, a lot of them for sale, built and already painted up to other people's specifications and stuff like that, but there weren't any at the time, certainly not that I recall anyway, that were in this condition where they hadn't been built or hadn't been painted, so I think that definitely went in its favour. So got $28.94 altogether for this one, and after shipping and fees made $17.68 off a £2.50 purchase. 15th of June, Sony Handycam bundle. This was, did I do this one in a video? No, I don't think I did. This was just another one of those pickups from a time when I just had so much stuff that I couldn't possibly video any of it. Yeah, Sony Hi8 VHS camcorder, old school video camcorder. We've talked about them before, I think, on the channel. If we haven't, I'll just cover it really quickly, but they are still popular the world over. People still have tapes that they've had, you know, that they've recorded things on in the past, and sometimes these days the only way to watch them back is to actually put them into a camera and watch them back on the built-in screen, or be able to dump them to another media like a DVD or something like that. You need a camera to transfer it from, so you've got something with the relevant connection. Of course, people, I'm sure, do still use them for filming and stuff like that, students and things, for that kind of found footage look. I guess they're excellent for that. There's probably not a digital camera in the world that could replicate that look as well as an old school film camera. And of course, this one, again, Sony, what needs to be said. So actually, yeah, one thing I do need to say really quickly, the bag did not originally come with this camera when I picked it up. The camera was in a bag and all of the accessories and everything that you see with it. So this is a really good bundle. This is obviously somebody that was well into the brand at the time that they bought this. So we've got the manual there. We've got the camera body, we've got the original sort of carrying strap for the camera, which is still in its bag. We've got the charger for the battery, we've got the original battery that came with it, but we've also got an additional battery, and it's a proper Sony battery as well, the second one that's been bought. It's got the adapter for the tripod, it's got the remote control in there, it had a Sony branded Hi8 cassette as well, so it was a proper Sony cassette in there. He even had a backup battery in there for the remote control, so this guy was clearly quite serious about this camera, whoever had it previously. And the bag actually came from the 65 quid bundle that I bought, so that bag effectively has cost 50p or something like that. But it added value to the bundle, because being able to put all of that Sony equipment into that Sony bag instead of just some next brand bag that didn't even have any, it wasn't a particularly nice bag, it was just, here is a bag for your camera. Being able to put it all in that nice Sony branded bag, I actually stuck an extra 20 quid on the price of what I was originally going to charge. So, for something that just came as part of a bundle, it wouldn't have necessarily sold for a huge amount on its own. I think they were selling for about 20 quid when I checked. So that was how I got to the figure that I was going to add on to the price of the camera. So I think it sold a lot more easily being part of that bundle with the camera and everything than it maybe would have done just as a 20 quid bag on its own. So this sold for £84.94 from a £10 purchase. After shipping and fees, made £52.29 on that one. It's gone on the GSP to France. So fingers crossed. 15th of June, still men's Mambo Naughty Gnome t-shirt. I've spelt naughty wrong on my title bar there. That's really annoying. Men's Mambo Naughty Gnome t-shirt. This was a new tagged item, just something that I picked up one day because I thought it was funny. The actual washing instructions and everything on the tag were hilarious as well. It was like, when the moon is full, take it down to a stream and wash it with pixies and goblins and stuff like that. It was just crackers, and that was part of the reason that I picked it up. Basically it's a gnome with his... It's a little fella with his little fella out, effectively, is what it is. And that's the most YouTube-friendly way that I can really describe the subject matter of that t-shirt. So moving swiftly on, it was $2.49. I sold it for $21.99 after shipping and fees, made $13.39. 15th of June again. This is the Bowden purple suede and leather heels. Spoken about Bowden before as a brand. They're a good sort of mid to lower high-end brand, if you like. Traditionally kind of British middle-class sort of brand. Very popular, make some really nice sort of stylish gear as well. These were a pair of suede heels with patent sort of leather details and straps. Actually picked these up in a charity shop for $1.99 boxed. I was amazed. They're in pretty good condition too, apart from a little bit of light damage to the toe on the sole. So a little bit of the sole has come away there, but took a close-up photo of that, described it in the listings, and sold it a little bit cheaper than some of the equivalent ones. I think, they were mostly, when I looked at other Bowden shoes that had boxes, even used ones, I think they were around about the £34 to £36 region. So I just put these up at 30 just to sort of reflect on that little bit of damage there. But it wouldn't have actually interfered, I don't think, with the overall wearing of the shoes. I can't imagine how somebody has actually caused that damage in the first place, because it was so remarkably specific. But there we go. So they cost $1.99, sold for $33.94, and after shipping and fees there, we made $22.17. I do think, yeah, that's the final item on the presentation there, guys. So thank you all so much for sticking with me through that one again. I know it's been a long one. Again, as always, if you enjoyed the video, do please leave me a like. If you didn't enjoy the video, do please feel free to leave a thumbs down, but don't just thumb and run. Let me know what you did and didn't like, so I can improve and maintain accordingly. And if you haven't already subscribed, I'd really appreciate you doing so. And you can just click the subscribe button and give the bell there a little tickle, just so that you'll get an alert every time I upload a video. But otherwise, guys, thank you very much for your time again. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.